Welcome to the Undercurrent, your source for grassroots news. I'm Lauren Windsor. In this episode, we'll talk about the new jobs advocacy program launched by the Center for Community Change. On April 29th, the Center for Community Change launched the Putting Families First Good Jobs for All program with Center for Popular Democracy, Jobs with Justice, the Leadership Conference for Civil and Human Rights, the Working Families Organization, and grassroots organizations in 41 states. The goal? To put solutions to inequality and poverty at the top of the political agenda. CCC is focusing on 5 key areas: restoring workers' bargaining power, affordable child care and care of the elderly, reinvestment in communities of color, the creation of green jobs to tackle climate change, and creating a more balanced economy between the rich and the poor. Here's CCC's Executive Director, Deepak Bhargava.
The crises of inequality and poverty have kind of cast a gloom over our politics, a sense that there is not a way forward. But these are huge opportunities for our country and our people, and if we fail to generate belief in a different way forward, it will not be a failure of economic policy or technical know-how. It's going to be a failure of political imagination and organizing courage.
Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown advocated the plan, drawing on the national fight to raise the minimum wage.
We need to change the debate in terms of wages in this country. You know, from 1946 to 1973, productivity in this country went up, wages went up. Since 1973, especially since 2000, as the union movement has declined, as the fewer and fewer people in the labor movement, productivity still goes up. Executive compensation goes up, profits go up, wages have been stagnant. We need to join that debate. That means, obviously, it means raising the minimum wage significantly. It means community organizing around the $15 that started in SeaTac in Seattle and San Francisco and needs to make its way across the country.
Reina Acosta, a waitress in New Mexico and an activist working with the Ole Working Parents Association, talked about the challenges that she faces as a working mother in a low-wage job.
People all over the country are fed up. We've decided that it's time to make change, and we are going to win these changes. We need politicians to support us and listen to people like me and my friend Japera and Chris and Rael, who are really striving to make ends meet. This is for me, and it comes back to Evan. It comes back to every mother's kid who are fighting for affordable child care, the fight for paid sick days, and the fight for a fair work week. We need people to represent us in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and even here in D.C., to start putting our families first.
Pollster Celinda Lake talked about the dreaded F word, the federal government, and its role in creating a more balanced society.
Everybody knows you can't use the dreaded G word, government. And God forbid you qualify it with the F word, federal government. Everybody knows that that's wildly unpopular.
People support overwhelmingly a role for government in an investment agenda, job creation, infrastructure, good schools, health care, protecting Social Security. What we have to get past is people's cynicism about government, particularly federal government, and their distrust of the politicians and the bureaucrats that they think control the government process. That said, when we tested this agenda of investment, even using the term federal government, we found overwhelming support because people know they can't do this alone, that we need a fundamental change in direction, and that change is only going to come about when we have a real emphasis and when we all join in this together.
Keith Ellison talked about the importance of increasing voter participation and its impact on policy outcomes.
In 2012, 80% of the people earning $150,000 or more, which is not get-rich money, but it's good money, but 80% of the people earning more than $150,000 voted. But only 36% of those earning less than $50,000 voted. We have got to have a renaissance of civic participation. We have got to make turnout our primary objective. In a 50-state study over 30 years, researchers found that when the poor voted more, inequality decreased. And in fact, the gap between, there's this gap between the rich and the poor in voting, not just money. And that gap is highest in states where the income inequality is highest. Anybody ever heard of Paul Weyrich? He helped found Heritage Foundation, a bunch of other stuff. He said in front of a crowd, you conservatives need to stop talking about voter turnout. Y'all need to be talking about other stuff, because when you start trying to turn out the vote, look, our electoral chances increase as the electorate shrinks. Us Democrats have not prioritized turnout. If their success is in suppressing votes, shouldn't our success be in turning out the vote?
And the keynote speaker, Senator Elizabeth Warren, questioned the conventional wisdom that there isn't enough money in Washington for investments in community revitalization.
Everyone in Washington says the government is broke. There's no money to invest in education. There's no money to invest in infrastructure. We can't even pass a highway bill around here. We got to cut back on NIH. We've got to cut back. How can we be broke? Because I want to point out, there's sure plenty of money, billions of dollars, for subsidies for big oil companies. There's plenty of money for special breaks for owners of thoroughbred race horses. There are buckets of money to do great deals for owners of NASCAR racetracks. So why is there no money for the things that make our country work?
Bottom line, it's time to put families first and rebuild the middle class before the American dream turns into pure fantasy. Make sure to subscribe to the Undercurrent on YouTube and like me on Facebook for more on-the-ground, independent political reporting. I'm Lauren Windsor. Thanks for watching. Get pulled in to the Undercurrent.
Undercurrent, under the surface, makes the mainstream get so nervous. It's time for purpose, for news to serve us, not with propaganda they use to hurt